All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Please like and subscribe. We're gonna get into something I've been seeing making the rounds, and this Wajahat Ali, which I've seen on Pierce Morgan a few times. He's always got the dumbest takes, and he invited somebody even dumber than him, Joy Reid. Sad Reid. She's back and already had 225,000 subscribers on YouTube. So clearly, some people like her. But look at the title on this thing. It's called How Mediocre White Men and Their Fragility is Destroying America. I guess that's me. I guess that may be you too. Um, obviously it's a rage bait, and you got me. Let's see what they got. I'm just skipping ahead to this section that's labeled Myth of White Supremacy and Cultural Appropriation.
Booms.
Joy.
I mean, behind me, if you can see it, I'll tilt my camera up. I have a giant picture as well.
What in the hell is that?
But they won't be happy to know it's a black person.
I wonder what people would say if that was the first thing you saw in my house. They'd be like, mm.
So,
DEI, DEI. We got to replace it with a Confederate soldier.
DEI photo back there. But here,
Probably wasn't a black person. It was probably like an Egyptian or something.
here's the thing. It all fits, right? They scream Piers Morgan when I went on that fool's show.
She got destroyed. Bet you she won't be back. Check out her on Pierce Morgan. Absolutely hilarious because he wasn't having it.
Started off, well, first of all, he started out by saying, "You blocked me on Twitter." I was like, "Oh, what? You blocked me on Twitter?" And I said, "I haven't been on Twitter for like years." But it was before Elon. I was like, "Oh, that's weird. You're obsessed with that? That's cool." But then his next question was about, why do you call Donald Trump Hitler? Why do you say he's a Nazi? And I thought, well, I never said he was Hitler. I never said he was Nazi. His vice president said he was Hitler, and then it might be Hitler. And he talks like a Nazi. He keeps saying things like poisoning the blood of our people. He keeps using
Give me 2 clips of Trump saying poisoning the blood of our people. I'll wait. It ain't gonna happen. Poison the blood of our people? That's what he's saying?
Nazi language. And his own former chief of staff and his own former joint chief chair said he's a fascist to the
His own former joint chief of staff, joint chief of staff also went behind his back and called up China. A treasonous act. That guy was a politician bought and paid for. Don't bring that guy up as if he's some point of reference.
the core. I'm quoting them. And so, but there is this obsession on the right with trying to restore a world in which they could behave like a Nazi, but no one would say anything because there weren't enough brown and black people in public spaces who could ever call them out, because you can get away with being mediocre when you actually don't have to compete. And I'll just very quickly say, when you start
Thank you. Something we agree on. You could agree or you could do fine being mediocre when you don't actually have to compete. And that is, in a nutshell, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, hiring practices, gives Miss Joy Reid the ability to appear on a major news network, being absolutely one of the lowest IQ people on planet Earth because she has sassy takes and ain't afraid to go there.
when this country began, the whole idea of what America was this every man a king notion. That any white man who came to this country with just the sweat of his brow and belief in himself could essentially operate like a king without the actual king of England interfering or taxing him
I
or
agree with
telling him
that.
what to do. That each person could be a kingdom, and every white man,
First of all, that's not a term that's used in white culture very much. We're not walking around saying king and queen. That's not something that we flex. That's a Joy thing. I bet you call yourself queen, don't you, Joy?
in his kingdom were the women who were effectively property, the slaves who were literally property, and the indigenous who you could just take their land the same way that the land's being taken from the Palestinians, which is why I think some of these Americans love it, without them having to have any permission or any consent, right? The notion you could take whatever land you want, take whatever you want, tell your women what to do, treat them like property, treat blacks like property. This world worked really well for white men because even if they were poor, they understood that they had unlimited rights, and that even if they had nothing economically, they could kill literally any black man they wanted. And they
Oh, you guys better subscribe for this one. I mean, what is she talking about? They could kill any black man they wanted. Like, she just says stuff. She just says it. This woman is so fragile in her identity that she obsesses over white people. She is obsessed.
Could actually exercise their anger and their rage and their discontent by harming people of color because it was effectively legal to kill them. And so what you had were two kinds of white men. You had white men at the top who had the education, the money, the opportunity with no competition. There was never going to be a black person going for the same job. They weren't allowed. There was never going to be a black person running against you for office. They weren't allowed. You had full freedom. And then you had the broke white people who didn't have anything economically, but when they really got discontented, they could just kill Emmett Till.
This is history by Joy Reid, y'all. That's it in a nutshell. She just cracked the case. That's history. That's American history. What she just said. Rich white people with no competition, broke white people with no competition. That's American history. And just remember, this lady got paid millions, and I mean millions, on a massive news network to spout out the most divisive, racist rhetoric against white people for probably, what was it, 10 years straight? It was insane.
And let off their feelings that way. That was literally the system in the United States. And so what you have now are white men, to be blunt, who are raging against the change that was the 20th century. That said, you know what? Women also get to vote. It's not just y'all. You know what? Black people can actually live where they want. They don't have to live in these segregated ghettos. They can live next to you.
What happens anytime an athlete gets rich or an actor gets famous? They move right out of the hood. So let's not pretend this is a color thing. People don't like to be in crime ridden neighborhoods. That's it. They like educational opportunities, they like sports opportunities, they like places they could go and eat and not have to worry about getting mugged.
They can buy a house next to yours. They can buy your house. Women also get to be free from your kitchen. White women can actually go to work like brown and black women always had. Asian men who were barred from even.
See, even when she's trying to compliment white women, which she ain't, she has to throw a little jab in there. White women can now go to work like the black women already been doing.
Immigrating.
This may be the most racist woman that has ever been on TV. And that's saying something because there's quite a few of them.
And when they came to work, weren't allowed to bring their wives or have children here because they were too many Asians. All of a sudden, the 20th century said there is no unlimited kingdom for white men. They don't get to be a king. You actually just have to be a citizen. And now you have to be leveled out and compete with all the other Americans who are not white men. Now, about 40% of white men said, bet, cool, I can live with that. Let's
That's what
get
they
it.
said.
Let's do it.
Bet
Let's
cool.
get in the culture. I like Mexican food. I like Asian food. I like me to eat some Indian food. I want to go be in the barbecue and I want to be at the cookout. Let's do it. And about 60% said, hell no, never. And
Where's Joy getting these numbers from? 60% said hell no, and 40% said I want to be at the cookout. Come on, I can't take any more of this. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe.